In a world that never stops evolving, only those who adapt, learn, and lead will stay truly relevant. This is your guide to mastering that change. Let's get started. In a world that moves at the speed of light, where technology evolves daily, markets shift unexpectedly, and societal values constantly transform, staying relevant is no longer a luxury, it's a survival skill. Relevance is the bridge between where you are and where the world is going. It is not about clinging to old success, but about anticipating the future and aligning yourself with it. To stay relevant, one must start from within, and that journey begins with self-awareness and cultivating the right mindset. Self-awareness is the most underrated and underdeveloped skill in the modern world. Many people are so occupied with the noise outside, the opinions of others, trends, news cycles, and social media validation, that they forget to look inward. But the truth is, you cannot evolve if you do not understand who you are today. Self-awareness demands brutal honesty. It asks questions like, what do I know? What do I need to unlearn? What are my blind spots? What am I resisting and why? These are uncomfortable questions, but they hold the key to unlocking our true potential. Without this foundation, any effort to stay relevant will be built on shaky ground. Mindset is everything. A fixed mindset is a silent killer of relevance. It tells you that the skills you learned 10 years ago are enough. It whispers that you're too old to start over, too late to change, too busy to learn. But a growth mindset sees every shift as a new opportunity. It embraces change not as a threat, but as a pathway to reinvention. A growth mindset understands that failure is not final. It is feedback. It rewires your brain to see learning as a lifelong process rather than a phase that ends with a diploma. One of the most important qualities of a growth mindset is curiosity. Curiosity is the engine of relevance. The moment you stop being curious is the moment you start becoming irrelevant. Curious people ask better questions. They read more, listen more, travel more, experiment more. They look at the world not with judgment, but with wonder. They want to understand how things work, why things change, and what that change means for them. Curiosity fuels innovation, and innovation keeps you relevant. To stay relevant, you must be willing to let go of the identity that made you successful in the past. This is perhaps the hardest part. We build our self-worth around our achievements, our roles, our titles, our degrees, our experience. But in a changing world, those things may lose value. What mattered yesterday might not matter tomorrow. That's why emotional flexibility is critical. You must learn to detach from the past without disrespecting it. Your past gave you tools, but it cannot guarantee your future. Relevance means honoring the past while adapting to the present and preparing for the future. Another core pillar of relevance is purpose. When you know your why, you can reinvent your how and what without losing your sense of direction. Purpose acts as a compass when the terrain changes. People who are clear about their purpose are more resilient in the face of change. They don't panic when old ways stop working. They simply find new ways to express their purpose. Purpose-driven people adapt not because they are chasing trends, but because they are aligned with something timeless within themselves. Their relevance is not a desperate attempt to be liked. It's a natural consequence of living authentically and intentionally. Relevance also requires humility. The world doesn't owe you attention, respect, or success just because you had them once. You have to earn them again and again. Humility allows you to ask for help, admit when you don't know something, and learn from those who are younger, different, or even less experienced in some ways. A humble person doesn't see themselves as outdated or inferior. They see themselves as a student of life. And in a world that changes constantly, being a lifelong student is the smartest strategy. Time management is another key. You cannot stay relevant if your schedule is filled with outdated habits, toxic relationships, or meaningless routines. You must audit your time and ask, what am I investing in? Am I creating or just consuming? Am I growing or just surviving? Relevance doesn't happen by accident, it happens by design. You must intentionally carve out time to learn, reflect, experiment, and evolve. Every minute spent on growth is a deposit into your future relevance. Discomfort is part of the process. If you only do what feels safe and familiar, you will fall behind. The willingness to be uncomfortable, to try new things, to fail publicly, to stretch your limits is the price of staying relevant. Growth lives outside your comfort zone, so you must train yourself to lean into discomfort rather than run from it. The good news is, discomfort doesn't last forever. What feels scary today becomes your new normal tomorrow. One of the most practical habits for staying relevant is reading. The average CEO reads 50 to 60 books a year. Why? Because knowledge is the fuel of leadership and relevance. Reading exposes you to new ideas, new perspectives, and new possibilities. It helps you connect the dots and see patterns others miss. But don't just read what confirms your beliefs. Read what challenges them. Read across disciplines. If you're in business, read about psychology. If you're in technology, read about philosophy. The cross-pollination of ideas is where innovation happens. Networking is equally important. You are only as relevant as the people who find value in your voice, your work, and your presence. Build genuine relationships, not just for what others can give you, but for what you can give them. Listen more than you speak. Offer value before asking for it. Collaborate instead of competing. Surround yourself with people who stretch your thinking and inspire your evolution. The right network can open doors, spark ideas, and hold you accountable. Adaptability is a superpower. In today's world, change is not an event, it's a constant. The ability to pivot, to let go of what no longer works, and to try something new is what separates the survivors from the obsolete. Think of how quickly entire industries have shifted. Music, retail, education, healthcare. The ones who thrive didn't just resist change, they led it. They anticipated where the world was going and prepared for it before everyone else caught on. To be adaptable, you must monitor trends, study behavior, and listen deeply, not just to what people say, but to what they need. Technology is often at the heart of relevance today. Whether we like it or not, digital fluency is no longer optional. You don't have to become a coder or a data scientist, but you must be comfortable with the tools that drive modern communication, business, and creativity. Learn how to use new platforms, understand how algorithms work, know how to manage your digital presence. If you're invisible online, you might as well not exist in the eyes of many. But don't just chase every new app. Choose tools that align with your goals and values. Creativity is another ingredient. It's not just for artists, it's for everyone. Creativity means finding better ways to do things, solve problems, tell stories, and engage people. It means thinking differently, asking what-if questions, and refusing to settle for average. In a noisy world, the most creative voices rise above the clutter. If you want to be heard, you must learn to create, whether that's content, ideas, products, or experiences. Don't wait for permission to express yourself. Relevance comes to those who create, not those who just comment. Lastly, staying relevant means being emotionally intelligent. In times of uncertainty and disruption, people don't just need information, they need empathy. Emotional intelligence helps you navigate complex conversations, manage stress, resolve conflict, and lead with compassion. It helps you connect with others on a human level. And in a world full of automation and artificial intelligence, human connection is the ultimate competitive advantage. The foundation of staying relevant is not about chasing every trend or reinventing yourself every month. It's about building an inner core that is strong, flexible, and curious. It's about understanding who you are, embracing change, and constantly growing. Self-awareness and mindset are not just soft skills. They are survival skills in a world that rewards the adaptable and forgets the rigid. Relevance is not something you achieve once. It's something you must cultivate daily. It starts with the courage to look in the mirror and ask, am I growing or just aging? The answer to that question will define your future. Staying relevant in a changing world requires more than awareness and a resilient mindset. It demands continuous reinvention through intentional learning and mastery of skills. Gone are the days when a college degree or a fixed set of skills could sustain a lifetime of work and recognition. In today's rapidly evolving world, relevance is tied directly to your ability to learn faster, better, and more deeply than ever before. It's not about how much you know, It's about how fast you can learn, unlearn, and relearn. Lifelong learning is not a motivational slogan. It is your most powerful weapon in the fight against obsolescence. At its core, lifelong learning is the commitment to growing intellectually, emotionally, and professionally over the course of your entire life. It is a personal promise to never stop evolving. This promise requires humility, discipline, and above all, curiosity. The mindset of a lifelong learner is not "I already know," but rather, "What else can I know and how can I apply it?" Lifelong learners don't wait for someone to give them permission or a curriculum. They create their own curriculum based on where the world is going and where they want to go. One of the most significant drivers of irrelevance is stagnation. People stop learning when they get comfortable. They reach a certain level of success, skill, or income and believe that's enough. But the reality is the skills that brought you success today may not be relevant tomorrow. The half-life of knowledge, the time it takes for half the knowledge in a field to become outdated, is shrinking rapidly. In some industries, that's now less than 5 years. That means if you're not learning, you're falling behind. So how do you become a serious lifelong learner? First, you must be intentional about what you want to learn and why. Don't just consume random information. Create a learning strategy. Identify the skills that are rising in value and align them with your interests and goals. For instance, if you're in marketing, you might need to learn about AI tools, digital analytics, or neuromarketing. If you're a teacher, understanding online learning platforms, storytelling, and student psychology might be essential. Relevance comes from strategic learning, not passive consumption. Use a mix of learning formats to maximize retention and engagement. Read books and articles, take online courses, attend webinars, listen to podcasts, engage in discussion forums, and experiment with hands-on projects. The more diverse your input, the more robust your knowledge. Apply the 70-20-10 rule. 70% of learning should come from real-life experience, 20% from interactions with others, and 10% from formal education. Don't just collect knowledge, apply it, create something, teach someone, solve a problem, build a prototype, write a blog. Application is where learning turns into mastery. Digital skills are no longer just for tech professionals. They are essential for everyone. Whether you're a small business owner, an artist, a healthcare provider, or a nonprofit leader, technology impacts every aspect of your work. You must become comfortable with digital tools, from communication apps to data analytics to design software. You don't need to be a tech genius, but you must be digitally literate. Learn how to navigate digital platforms, interpret data, create content, and protect your digital identity. In today's marketplace, being digitally invisible is equivalent to being irrelevant. Embrace microlearning. In a world where attention spans are shrinking and schedules are packed, microlearning is a powerful way to stay updated. Microlearning involves short bursts of focused content, 5-minute videos, 10-slide presentations, quick challenges, or flashcards. Apps like Duolingo, Blinkist, and LinkedIn Learning make it easy to learn on the go. Set aside 15 to 30 minutes each day for intentional microlearning. Over time, this small habit compounds into extraordinary growth. Remember, you don't need to learn everything today, but you must learn something every day. Focus on learning how to learn. This is the meta skill of the 21st century. It includes techniques like speed reading, mind mapping, active recall, spaced repetition, and interleaving. It also involves understanding your learning style, visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and tailoring your methods accordingly. Develop critical thinking skills that allow you to evaluate information rather than just absorb it. In a world overflowing with content, the ability to filter, analyze, and apply what truly matters is what sets leaders apart. Skill stacking is another powerful strategy. This means combining different skills to create a unique competitive advantage. Individually, your skills might be average, but together they can make you extraordinary. For example, being good at graphic design, marketing, and public speaking could make you a standout creative strategist. Or combining psychology, storytelling, and digital tools could turn you into a world-class coach or consultant. Relevance often lies at the intersection of multiple disciplines. Don't aim to be the best in the world at one thing. Aim to be very good at several things that, when combined, make you irreplaceable. Soft skills matter just as much as hard skills, sometimes even more. Skills like communication, emotional intelligence, leadership, adaptability, creativity, and collaboration are timeless. They cannot be automated or outsourced. Companies and communities crave people who can connect, empathize, inspire, and resolve conflict. These skills must be practiced intentionally through self-reflection, mentorship, feedback, and real-world application. Don't underestimate the power of kindness, integrity, and trust. In a digital world, human connection is what keeps you grounded and respected. Find mentors and role models who are living the future you want to build. Learn from their journeys, absorb their mindsets, and avoid their mistakes. A mentor shortens your learning curve by offering perspective, accountability, and encouragement. But don't just passively follow. Engage, question, and contribute. And as you grow, become a mentor to others. Teaching is one of the most effective ways to solidify your knowledge and expand your influence. Relevance also requires courage. The courage to say, I don't know, the courage to start over, the courage to be a beginner again. Many people fear looking foolish, but irrelevance is far more humiliating than temporary embarrassment. Be willing to be bad at something new so you can eventually become great at it. The best learners are not the smartest, they're the most willing. Willing to fail, to look silly, to ask questions, to keep going when it's hard. Courage multiplies your learning capacity. Track your progress. Learning is not just about input, it's about outcome. Set goals, document what you learn, create a portfolio of skills, projects, and experiences. Celebrate small wins. Progress motivates persistence. Use digital tools like Notion, Trello, or Evernote to organize your learning journey. Seeing your own evolution is one of the most powerful motivators to keep going. Invest in yourself. Spend time, energy, and even money on courses, tools, books, and experiences that help you grow. The best investment you will ever make is in your own development. You don't need to go back to school to stay relevant. You need to build your personal learning economy. Be resourceful. Learn from free resources, but don't shy away from premium ones that offer deep value. Remember, the return on investment is not just knowledge. It's confidence, clarity, and opportunity. Stay current with global trends, subscribe to newsletters, join thought leader communities, follow innovations in your field, and attend virtual summits. Make it a habit to scan the horizon weekly. Ask what's new, what's dying, what's emerging, what's disrupting my industry, and how can I prepare for it? The earlier you spot a trend, the more power you have to lead it instead of chase it. Avoid the trap of shallow knowledge. In the age of viral content and clickbait, it's easy to confuse information with understanding. Reading headlines is not the same as developing insight. Skimming tweets is not the same as mastering a topic. If you want to be truly relevant, go deep. Read entire books, take in-depth courses, spend hours on one problem, build real expertise. Shallow thinkers follow trends. Deep thinkers shape them. Your learning should be connected to your identity. You're not just collecting information, you're becoming someone new. Every skill you learn shapes how you see the world and how the world sees you. Embrace the discomfort of this identity shift. Allow yourself to outgrow the old version of you. That's how reinvention happens, not through change alone, but through growth that reshapes your very essence. And finally, remember that relevance is not a destination, it's a daily decision. It's waking up every morning and choosing to engage, to question, to improve. It's understanding that the world owes you nothing, but offers everything to those willing to grow. It's realizing that staying relevant isn't just about success, it's about significance. It's about being useful, impactful, and aligned with the needs of today and the opportunities of tomorrow. If you're learning, you're living. If you're growing, you're glowing. If you're evolving, you're empowering others to do the same. In a changing world, those who master the art of learning are the ones who lead the way. Relevance is earned, not inherited, and your ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn will define not just your survival, but your legacy. Staying relevant in a changing world doesn't just depend on what you know or how quickly you learn. It also depends on how others perceive your value. In a fast-moving world where people are constantly bombarded with information, visibility matters, influence matters, trust matters, and that's where your personal brand becomes a critical tool for maintaining relevance. A personal brand is not about becoming famous or chasing vanity metrics. It's about being known for the value you consistently bring. It's the story people tell about you when you're not in the room. If you don't shape that story intentionally, someone else will shape it for you. In the digital age, your personal brand is your reputation at scale. It is the intersection of your identity, your voice, your contribution, and your presence. And just like the world evolves, your personal brand must evolve too. The first step in building a strong personal brand is clarity. Who are you? What do you stand for? What unique combination of skills, values, and passions do you bring to the table? What problem do you solve, and for whom? Without clarity, your message will be confusing, and confused people don't take action. You need to define your core narrative, a one-sentence description of who you are and the value you offer. For example, I help small businesses grow through digital storytelling, or I empower educators to lead with creativity. Your clarity becomes the foundation of your brand. The next step is consistency. People trust what they recognize. Consistency in your communication, tone, message, visuals, and values creates familiarity. Whether it's your social media posts, emails, presentations, or even the way you introduce yourself, consistency reinforces your brand identity. That doesn't mean being rigid, it means being reliable. Even as you grow and evolve, there should be a golden thread that ties everything together. Think of it like a favorite song remixed in different styles. It's still recognizable, but it evolves with time. Visibility is the third piece. You could be brilliant and wise, but if no one knows what you do or how you can help them, your relevance will fade. You must be visible where your audience spends time. This might mean publishing thought pieces on LinkedIn, creating content on Instagram or YouTube, joining Twitter discussions, hosting webinars, writing a newsletter, or speaking at industry events. You don't need to be everywhere, but you must be somewhere consistently and intentionally. Own your space, share your voice, tell your story. Don't wait until you feel ready. Start by showing up. Authority is built through contribution. You earn influence by giving value. Share what you know. Teach others. Solve problems. Celebrate others. Recommend resources. Be generous. Over time, this builds a reputation of leadership and credibility. And credibility is the currency of relevance. When people associate your name with solutions, insights, or inspiration, they remember you. And in a noisy world, being remembered is priceless. But don't confuse personal branding with performance. You are not building a character. You are building a platform for authenticity. Your personal brand should reflect your real beliefs, passions, and strengths. Don't pretend to be perfect. Share your failures, your lessons, your questions. Vulnerability is powerful. It builds trust. People connect more with your humanity than your highlight reel. The most relevant people today are not flawless. They're relatable. They don't just share what they know, they share who they are. One critical part of evolving your brand is listening. Relevance is not static, it's a conversation. Pay attention to feedback. What are people asking you about? What content gets the most engagement? What words do others use to describe you? These are clues. Don't just broadcast, engage. Reply to comments, ask questions, join communities. Social listening is just as important as social posting. Your audience can tell you what they need, if you're willing to listen. Your visual identity also matters. Design isn't just decoration, it's communication. Choose colors, fonts, images, and layouts that align with your values and message. A polished, cohesive visual presence signals professionalism and care. It doesn't mean you need to be a designer. Use templates, hire help, or use user-friendly tools like Canva. But don't ignore the power of design. In a world of split-second impressions, your visual brand can be the difference between being scrolled past and being noticed. Storytelling is your superpower. Facts inform, but stories transform. If you want people to remember you, move them. Tell the story of your journey, your challenges, your triumphs, your transformation. Tell the stories of people you've helped, mistakes you've made, risks you've taken. We are wired for narrative. Stories build emotional resonance, and emotional resonance builds loyalty. A relevant brand is not just known, it is felt. Remember that you are not your job title. You are not your resume. You are a dynamic, evolving human being with layers of value. Your personal brand should reflect that evolution. Don't box yourself in. Don't define yourself so narrowly that you leave no room to grow. Instead, build a brand that is expansive, one that can contain your growth. Think of it like a tree, deeply rooted in your purpose, but constantly branching out into new directions. Collaboration is a powerful amplifier. Partner with others who share your values and complement your skills. Co-create content, interview experts, join mastermind groups, attend conferences, lift others up. Collaboration expands your reach, enhances your learning, and builds community. And in today's world, community is your most valuable asset. People follow people who bring people together. Another often overlooked part of brand evolution is knowing when to pivot. Sometimes your brand outgrows your original platform or audience. That's okay. Evolution means shedding old skins. You don't need to apologize for changing direction. Explain your why, bring your audience along, and lead with clarity. People respect leaders who are self-aware and courageous enough to pivot. Don't let loyalty to the past prevent your growth into the future. Document your journey. Share behind the scenes. Let people see your process, not just your results. This transparency builds connection. Show them the books you're reading, the projects you're working on, the thoughts you're wrestling with. Bring them into your world. When people feel like insiders, they become loyal supporters. And loyalty is the foundation of influence. Guard your integrity. In a world where people fake expertise, buy followers, and prioritize likes over values, authenticity stands out. Stay true to your principles. Say no to shortcuts that compromise your brand. Don't just do what's popular. Do what's right. Your brand is your legacy, not a trend. Build something that lasts longer than algorithms. Create a reputation that precedes you in rooms you haven't entered yet. Integrate feedback loops. Regularly reflect on your brand's direction. Ask yourself, am I still aligned with my purpose? Is my content still serving my audience? Am I growing or coasting? Course correct if needed. Relevance doesn't happen by default, it happens by design. Be the architect of your evolution, not the victim of irrelevance. Build assets that endure. This includes a personal website, a content library, a book, a course, or a portfolio. Platforms may change, algorithms may shift, but your owned assets stay with you. Build a home for your brand, a place that reflects your essence and houses your value. That way, you're not at the mercy of third-party platforms. Practice courage daily. Speak even when your voice shakes. Share even when you're unsure. Show up even when no one's watching. Courage compounds. Every time you stretch your brand, your identity grows, and every time you grow, your relevance deepens. Ultimately, your personal brand is your most powerful tool for navigating change. It is your voice in a crowded world. It is your invitation to opportunity. It is your gift to those who need what you offer. Relevance is not about popularity, it's about purpose. It's not about being everywhere. It's about being unforgettable where it counts. So invest in your brand. Let it grow with you. Shape it with wisdom. Guard it with integrity. And use it as a light that helps others find their way. The world will keep changing, trends will rise and fall, but the people who show up with clarity, consistency, and contribution, who brand themselves with purpose and live with integrity, will always remain relevant. They will always matter, and so will you. Relevance is not just about adapting to technological change or mastering new skills. It's also about understanding and navigating the profound social, cultural, and generational shifts happening all around us. These shifts redefine what people value, how they communicate, how they work, how they buy, how they relate, and how they learn. If you want to remain relevant in the long term, you need to be able to read the room at a societal level. That means being tuned into the evolving priorities of the world, not to copy them, but to respond to them with empathy, intelligence, and flexibility. Understanding the cultural landscape begins with awareness. Culture is not static, it's fluid. What was normal 5 years ago might be offensive or obsolete today. What was niche yesterday might be mainstream tomorrow. The way we talk about identity, leadership, health, family, work, and even success has radically transformed over the past decade. To stay relevant, you must remain open to these evolutions instead of resisting them. Many people become irrelevant not because they lack skill or intelligence, but because they become tone-deaf to the culture. They refuse to update their language, attitudes, or assumptions. They cling to what worked in the past without questioning if it still applies. Relevance requires cultural humility, the willingness to acknowledge that your worldview is limited, and the courage to learn from others whose experiences are different from your own. One major shift is the redefinition of work. Remote work, freelancing, digital nomadism, and the gig economy have changed what it means to have a career. Traditional notions of job security and office culture have been disrupted. The workforce is now global, flexible, and values-driven. Employees want meaning, not just money. They want freedom, not just rules. They want mental health, diversity, purpose, and progress. If you're a leader, manager, entrepreneur, or mentor, understanding these shifts is essential. You cannot lead people effectively if you don't understand what they care about. You cannot market to people if you don't understand their values. You cannot connect with people if you dismiss what matters to them. Relevance in leadership and business today means emotional intelligence, cultural fluency, and the ability to create environments where people feel seen, safe, and supported. Another massive shift is in how people consume information and entertainment. We are living in an attention economy. People don't just want content, they want connection. They want authenticity, speed, storytelling, and interactivity. Traditional media has been replaced by influencers, podcasts, YouTube, TikTok, and Substack. Everyone is now a publisher, a brand, a creator. This democratization of voice is powerful, but it also means that people have more choices than ever. If you want your voice to be heard, you must speak in a way that resonates. You must adapt your communication style to the platforms and formats people use. Long emails are replaced by short reels. Corporate jargon is replaced by conversational tones. Static presentations are replaced by live dialogue. Your ability to translate your message across mediums is crucial. You don't have to be on every platform, but you do need to understand the platforms that matter to your audience. Generational shifts also play a massive role in relevance. Each generation has its own values, communication styles, and cultural reference points. Baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, Gen Z, and now Gen Alpha are shaped by different events, technologies, and ideologies. If you dismiss the next generation as lazy or entitled, you're already irrelevant to them. Instead, ask what drives them, what scares them, what inspires them. The next generation is not your competition. They are your collaborators, customers, team members, and legacy. Build bridges, not walls. If you're older, be a mentor who listens. If you're younger, be a student who respects wisdom. Relevance is built when generations honor each other's strengths. Social justice movements have also reshaped public discourse and expectations. Topics like racial equity, gender identity, climate change, mental health, and accessibility are not fringe. They are central to how people see the world and make decisions. Staying relevant means not only being aware of these conversations, but being part of them in a meaningful, respectful way. That doesn't mean you have to become a political commentator. It means being informed, empathetic, and responsible in your interactions, messaging, and leadership. Brands, leaders, and individuals who ignore or mishandle these issues are often perceived as out of touch. The ability to engage in complex, sensitive conversations with grace and openness is now a mark of maturity and modernity. Another key aspect is global awareness. The internet has made the world smaller. What happens in one country can impact culture, business, and mindsets worldwide. To stay relevant, you must think globally, even if you operate locally. Learn about other cultures, understand global markets, stay informed about world events. This helps you see opportunities, avoid missteps, and connect with a more diverse audience. Cultural intelligence is a skill that multiplies your relevance. Language is a dynamic component of cultural relevance. Words matter more than ever. People expect inclusive, respectful, and updated language. What was acceptable even a decade ago may now be inappropriate or hurtful. Don't fight these changes. Learn them. Language evolves because people evolve. Pay attention to how your words land. Be mindful of tone, pronouns, metaphors, and assumptions. The goal is not political correctness, it's relational intelligence. Relevance is about making people feel respected, not impressed. Emotional intelligence must now extend beyond personal interactions to public communication. The most relevant people today are those who are attuned to both the micro and macro, the individual and the collective. They understand their personal mission, but also their social impact. They lead with integrity, show up with empathy, and build platforms that uplift others. They don't just react, they respond with wisdom. Social media has also accelerated cycles of relevance. Virality is now a double-edged sword. You can become famous overnight and forgotten by morning. What matters more than fleeting fame is lasting trust. Trust is built through consistency, transparency, and emotional resonance. Don't chase trends for clicks. Engage topics because they matter. Be someone people can count on, not someone who disappears when the spotlight fades. That is how you build durable relevance. Flexibility is a survival skill in the face of cultural change. You must be willing to update your beliefs, try new behaviors, learn new cultural cues, and let go of what no longer fits. That doesn't mean abandoning your core values. It means expressing them in ways that are aligned with the current reality. Tradition is not the opposite of innovation. The most relevant traditions are those that evolve. Blend timeless principles with timely expressions. Let your roots deepen and your branches grow. One practical strategy is cultural immersion. Surround yourself with diverse voices, perspectives, and experiences. Follow people from different generations, backgrounds, industries, and geographies. Watch films, read books, attend events, travel, volunteer. The more diverse your input, the more relevant your output. Diversity is not just about inclusion, it's about insight. It expands your thinking and enhances your decisions. Relevance comes from understanding the world, not just your world. Pay attention to the emotional climate. People's needs shift with circumstances. During a global crisis, people seek comfort and clarity. During cultural tension, they seek solidarity and safety. During economic uncertainty, they seek solutions and simplicity. Relevance means meeting people where they are, not where you wish they were. Be the voice people need now, not the one that was popular yesterday. Timeliness increases impact. Be adaptable in your tone, content, offerings, and presence. One of the most underrated practices is reflection. Take time to regularly assess your alignment with the world around you. What assumptions are you holding on to? What conversations are you avoiding? What fears are stopping you from evolving? Relevance is lost in moments of avoidance. Be brave enough to face the questions that scare you. Be wise enough to update your mental maps. Be humble enough to admit when you're out of sync. That's how you recalibrate and realign. Collaborate with those who stretch you. Relevance is a team sport. Partner with people who see the world differently. Invite feedback. Hire diverse teams. Host difficult conversations. Explore opposing views. Conflict, when handled well, leads to clarity. Discomfort, when embraced, leads to depth. Stay in spaces that challenge your worldview. That's where real relevance is forged. And never forget the power of listening. In a noisy world, those who listen stand out. Listen to your audience, your team, your family, your intuition. The world is giving you signals every day. Are you tuned in? Are you adjusting? Are you responding? Listening is not passive, it's an active leadership skill. Those who listen well, and those who lead well, stay relevant. The future belongs to those who evolve with empathy, lead with awareness, and serve with humility. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be present. You don't need to have all the answers. You need to keep asking better questions. You don't need to predict the future. You need to prepare for it by aligning yourself with what matters most right now. In a changing world, relevance is not a status. It's a skill. It's not a title. It's a practice. And it's available to anyone willing to learn, listen, and lead with intention. Relevance in a constantly shifting world is not a destination. It is a relentless, evolving process that demands personal reinvention, courageous humility, and deep commitment to lifelong learning. This final part focuses on one of the most underestimated tools for staying relevant: building community and relationships that grow with time. People often think relevance is only about acquiring knowledge or mastering new tools. But the truth is, your human network, your relationships, your reputation, your influence, these matter just as much, if not more, as you navigate the waves of change. In a fast-changing landscape, it's easy to become isolated. Technology might keep us connected digitally, but genuine, deep, purposeful human connections are increasingly rare. Those who remain relevant don't just keep learning, they keep engaging. They seek diverse perspectives. They contribute meaningfully. They don't disappear when they feel outdated. They show up more with more authenticity and vulnerability. One of the major keys to staying relevant is empathy. Not the surface level kind, but the kind of empathy that listens to understand, not just to reply. That asks questions instead of assuming answers. Empathy makes you adaptable because it shifts your mindset from "how do I protect my status?" to "how do I serve better?" In business, relationships matter more than transactions. In leadership, trust is more powerful than authority. In community, listening builds more impact than shouting. Being relevant means being relational, not just informational. You don't stay relevant by clinging to the past version of yourself. You stay relevant by collaborating with the present reality. That means being willing to learn from those younger than you, wiser than you, or different from you. It means sharing your expertise without arrogance and receiving wisdom without defensiveness. Another pillar of relevance is storytelling. Stories connect generations. They bridge the old with the new. Whether you're a business owner, an artist, a teacher, or simply someone navigating retirement, you have a story to tell that carries meaning. Your life experience, your triumphs, your failures, they're not outdated, they're resources. The challenge is to tell those stories in a way that resonates with today's culture. That's where adaptation comes in. Not in changing the heart of your message, but in changing how you present it. In today's fast-paced, content-rich world, those who can communicate simply and clearly are the ones who rise above the noise. The ability to influence rests not just in what you say, but how effectively you can say it. You remain relevant by understanding attention, what captures it, what holds it, and what drives action. That means you can no longer afford to speak only in your preferred style or method. You must speak in the language of your audience. Whether that's through video, visuals, short-form content, or direct interaction, being fluent in modern communication styles is crucial. But relevance also requires resilience. Change often comes with discomfort, and if you fear discomfort more than irrelevance, you will choose stagnation. The most relevant people are not the most comfortable. They are the most adaptable under pressure. They build mental and emotional resilience. They don't let temporary setbacks shape their identity. They see every disruption as a doorway to growth. Resilience doesn't mean avoiding pain. It means learning how to make pain meaningful. It means using failure as feedback. The more you fail forward, the more you evolve. The more you evolve, the more you stay aligned with what the world needs. And that's relevance. One of the best ways to remain relevant in today's world is to mentor others. Sharing your knowledge, skills, and wisdom doesn't just help others grow, it also keeps you sharp, connected, and open to feedback. Teaching forces you to simplify what you know. It makes you confront gaps in your thinking. It keeps your mind active and your perspective fresh. When you mentor someone, you don't just pass the torch, you keep the fire alive in yourself. And the best mentors are students too. They learn as much as they teach. That's the kind of humility that fuels relevance. It's also essential to reflect regularly. Self-awareness keeps you from becoming irrelevant without realizing it. Ask yourself often, what am I no longer seeing clearly? What assumptions am I making that might be outdated? What do younger generations value that I don't yet understand? What are people around me struggling with that I can help with? Self-awareness isn't self-criticism. It's simply tuning into reality with honesty. People who remain relevant live in reality, not nostalgia. They honor their past but are not imprisoned by it. They are forward thinkers who draw wisdom from behind and vision from ahead. In the final analysis, staying relevant isn't about being the most informed, the most skilled, or the most popular. It's about being the most connected to purpose. People can sense when you're rooted in something deeper than trend chasing. True relevance is built not on performance but on authenticity. It's found in those who serve rather than strive, who grow rather than settle, who care rather than control. You might not have the latest app or the newest idea, but if you show up with clarity, compassion, courage, and curiosity, you'll always matter. You'll always belong. You'll always have something of value to offer. Because staying relevant isn't about impressing the world. It's about impacting it. And that's something timeless, even in a world that changes every second. If you're serious about growth and staying ahead in a fast-changing world, hit that subscribe button and join a community that evolves together.